Ow. We are kicking it back old school with some good old book recommendations and some cozy crafts. All right, no, let me set these down now. You know what, friends? Bury me with my crafts, bury me with my books, and I will happily have lived a very fulfilled life, because there is nothing that can go wrong when you just have some cozy crafts and some good old nice books. Welcome back to another video, friends. If you have been around here for a while now, you know that I love a good book recommendations video, a nice little cozy craft recommendation video, and I haven't done one of these for a while. But since it is spring, why not kick off this spring season with some good old book recommendations and cozy crafts for this spring season? Now, if it is your first time being here, please subscribe. I post videos here weekly, and they are just day in the life videos, they are bookish videos, they are just working on project videos. We have a good time, okay? Believe me, we have a good time. In this video, friends, I have some great cozy crafts and some books that are perfect for the spring season. Now, if you know me, you know that I love a good thrifted or just budgeted craft project. I am a huge DIYer at heart. I am someone who loves to find just treasures at an affordable price, and if I can't find it, then I'll just make it myself, because why should we be limited to beautiful and pretty things because of money? That's boring. No, we are going to live our best lives and recreate those things at a budget-friendly price. So the cozy crafts I will be mentioning in this video are budget-friendly. You can thrift these and you'll be sure to have a good time with these. So without further ado, friends, let's get into some cozy crafts and some spring book recommendations. Starting us off in this video, I want to talk about some spring crafts. Now, when I think about the spring season, I think about obviously flowers, I think about vibrancy, I think about just romanticizing the everyday life. For me, spring feels very fresh and whimsy. Spring is also for me what I consider the earthly new year. It is the start of when we put our seeds down and we flourish them, we tend to them, whether it's new projects, new whatever it may be for you. Spring is a time to just do things. I am very excited for these crafts because these are definitely some that I'm going to be trying out myself and some that I have already tried that I absolutely loved. So starting off with the first one, I'm calling this one creating a trinket or foraged shrine. And this would be a collection of small trinkets or foraged items and putting them together to display in a box. Now, I've seen these all around Pinterest. I absolutely adore these. And as someone who loves collecting little trinkets and often doesn't know what to do with them, I love this idea so much. I love the idea of getting to display the small little trinkets that we find, whether you're foraging them, whether you find them at your local thrift store, whatever it may be. I feel like displaying them in some sort of little wooden box that you can also thrift or maybe even create yourself. You can definitely create a little small wooden shrine with these little small trinkets that you find. I feel like there are just so many beautiful things that we come across on our daily just lives, and sometimes, at least, I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but oftentimes I either collect them, I just want to bring them home with me, but oftentimes I just don't know what to do with them. And so I really love the idea of getting to display these little trinkets in a sort of shrine moment. I do have, for example, this wooden box that I thrifted, I think last year. I did used to use this for my coloring pins, but I found that it was just not hollow enough. So I'm thinking of turning this into a little wall trinket shelf. I think if I just display it like this, and if I can create some sections on here, I can definitely display a couple of little small items. And this is what I mean, friends, by just foraging items for your little trinket shelf. I foraged this little stick from my park walk the other day. I just thought it was so unique. I love how twisted this just looked. Of course, always there's a rule of thumb that if you're going to forage something, I always like to leave an offering. I always like to carry some little seedlings with me and spread them around if I'm taking something from my park or from the forest. So you can literally just forage just unique little items like that. I think they would just look so pretty in a display. My next cozy craft would be decorating decorating old vintage books, I absolutely love this idea because I always come across vintage books at the thrift store and they are so dirt cheap, at least where I'm located. And I always feel silly just bringing them home with me because I love the look of a vintage book, but I know for a fact I'm probably not going to read the story within this book. So I love the idea of thrifting these books and doing like a cool DIY project with them. One of the ideas would be painting the spine of the books with flowers or foliage. I just think they look so pretty, and a lot of the books that I've come across personally that are vintage, they have a plain spine. They'll usually have like the name of the author on the spine, but I feel like you can paint over that. And I just love the idea of getting to display just beautiful spines on vintage books and just using them as decor pieces. And not only can you decorate the spine, you can also decorate the other side, not the spine, but the opposite side of it, using like faux moss or faux little mushrooms that you can either make out of paper or make out of cardboard, and using them to decorate these vintage books as if like moss or flowers or mushrooms are just growing out of them. I just think they look so pretty, and I think that they would do so well as decoration pieces for your bookshelves or just for your home. So next time you come across some vintage books, don't pass them up. I know I'm not, because I've been dying to get some, but I just know that I'm not going to read the book itself. But I just think that they would do as such great decorative pieces. Now, this next cozy craft I have done in the past before, and I absolutely love it, and I'm going to be doing it again, and that is pressing dried flowers and using them as bookmarks. I feel like this is the easiest cozy craft out there. I don't feel like you really need much for this craft. What I've done in the past before is I've used an old book that I am okay sort of destroying, and I rip pages from it, and I sort of cut out that page of the book into a bookmark size. I just love the background of the bookmark being text from a book. And then what I do is I press some flowers and use those pressed flowers on top of the paper-sized bookmark, and I display them on there just nicely. You can either hot glue your flowers down to your bookmark, or in my case, I also do have a laminator, which I absolutely love, and I just laminate the entire thing and it's nice and sturdy. But if you don't have a laminator, I would probably suggest to use some sort of hard backing, maybe cardstock or even cardboard. Tape down your paper bookmark to that back piece and then hot glue your flowers. I mean, if we're going to be spending spring reading, we might as well have pretty bookmarks to go with them, right? Now, this next one might sound a little silly to you guys, but it doesn't sound silly at all to me. I have been embracing more and more just doing little silly and what some would consider just ridiculous things, because to me, that is what makes me happy. And if it being a little ridiculous is a little ridiculous, then that's fine with me. We should all do more ridiculous things. I think that is the secret to life, actually. But this next one, I am calling it Creating Adventure Day Wands. And this is a wand that you create when you go out on a day of adventure and collect little trinkets throughout your day. If you are someone who's going to a park, or you're going on a hike and you come across a cool rock, or you come across a cool little stick branch, or whatever it is that you come across throughout your day, I think it would be cool to create a little wand out of them and hang all of these trinkets to it. It's like crystals or rocks or a leaf or a dried flower. But I just think it would be a cool idea that on a day that you're just going out on adventuring, you collect little trinkets, you forage little trinkets, or maybe you go somewhere cool and you buy little trinkets, whatever it may be, and you create Adventure Day Wand. And this Adventure Day Wand is going to be a nice little reminder of this very fulfilled and fun day that you had. You can add a little ribbon to it so you can hang it, and you can put it on your walls. You can hang it on your car mirror. I just love the idea of creating little things that hold beautiful memories. So whenever, I don't know, we might be feeling down, we can always look to that particular thing and it will remind us of that wonderful day that we had. So friends, these are what I believe some very fun, budget-friendly, cozy crafts that you can do with others, with your friends, with your family, or by yourself. I think these would be great for the spring season. All right, friends, so now moving on to some springish books. I'm going to start off with 4 books that I read last year that I think would be great for the spring season, and then I'll move to some books that are a part of my TBR that I want to read for this spring season. Starting off with Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I read this last year and I absolutely adored it. I feel like this gives off exactly spring vibes, and you know what, you can never go wrong. I mean, I guess you can, but I personally just love period pieces, and this is set in Regency, during the Regency era, and it was pretty amazing. This follows our main protagonist, who's Theodora, or Dora, and she has been cursed since she was a child by the Fae. There was an incident that happened that this Fae ended up cursing her, and that curse left her with no sense of fear or no sense of embarrassment. This girl literally feels nothing. She doesn't get embarrassed. She doesn't feel any fear. She doesn't feel any love, and that is what gets her in a lot of trouble. But during the London season, when there is all the courtings happening, she meets a man who is actually some sort of sorcerer, and he takes a liking to her case when he finds out that she has been cursed, and he sort of ends up helping her unravel this curse of hers, or tries to at least, gets both of them wrapped up in this very peculiar evil fairy affairs. This was actually very funny, following a protagonist who has like no sense of fear or embarrassment. There were moments where I was just like, wow, I wish I didn't feel any fear or embarrassment. That would be nice, wouldn't it? This next novel I absolutely adored, and it is based on one of my absolutely favorite classics, and that is Anne of Green Gables. This is Anne, an adaptation of Anne of Green Gables, sort of, by Kathleen. I am a huge fan of graphic novels. If you have been here on my channel, you guys know that I blab about this all the time. I think more adults should read graphic novels. I think there's just a sense of wonder in them, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But this is based on the classic Anne of Green Gables, and this is sort of a contemporary adaptation of Anne of Green Gables. This follows, of course, Anne and Diana's friendship, and there is a sort of romance going on between them, but it's like the same story, just more contemporary. If you don't know the story of Anne, Anne is an orphan girl who gets adopted by 2 siblings, Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert. They take her in and they fall in love with her. They get to be parents to this wonderful freckled, red-haired girl. She ends up going to school where she meets Diana and a handful of other friends. I think this is just a wonderful adaptation of Anne of Green Gables. I love this storytelling in here. Now, this next book I haven't technically read, but the movie came out actually this year, and I really loved it. I actually got this from my local thrifted bookstore, Half Price Books, for $5. And I've yet to read the book, but like I mentioned, I watched the movie that came out this year, and this is The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. If you haven't seen the movie on this, please do. It was absolutely stunning, and I already know that the book itself is probably going to be even more beautiful. Also, if you didn't know, I love a good middle grade book. This is a middle grade book. This follows a robot named Ross who discovers that she is alone in a remote wild island. She has no recollection of how she got there. She just woke up and that's where she was. All she knows is that she needs to survive. She's never been in this kind of setting before. There are bears, there are wild animals there. So the only thing that makes sense to her is to adapt to her surroundings, meaning being able to survive in the wilderness. So Ross slowly ends up becoming friends with a lot of these animals that live in this island. And in particular, she sort of ends up, or at least in the movie, I'm not sure if this is the same for the book, she ends up becoming the mother to this, I forgot what kind of bird it was, but it was a type of bird that lives in this island. She ends up becoming the mother to this orphan bird who she accidentally ended up smashing the bird's nest where this little bird was living at before it hatched. So when it hatched and it didn't have a mother, Ross ended up just being the caretaker to it accidentally, in a way. It is just so heartwarming. I never thought that a book about a robot and a bird, well, at least the movie, right? Because I watched the movie, I haven't read the book. I just didn't think that it was going to be that heartwarming and such a tearjerker. This is actually part of my spring TBR. I am very excited to read this book. I must read the book now that I watched the movie. I just have to. The next book that I read last year that I absolutely loved was What the River Knows by Isable Ibanez. This made me fall in love all over again with Egyptian archaeology, Egyptian history. I loved the setting in this book so much. The second book came out already to this installation. I haven't picked it up yet, but it is in my to-do list. This is set in the 19th century, and it follows our main protagonist, whose name is Inez. And Inez's parents are Egyptian archaeologists. They spend half of their year in Egypt studying Egyptian history, archaeology, trying to discover magical runes that exist in this world. Inez, who lives in Argentina, ends up getting the news that her parents have been unalived. So that prompts her to leave Argentina and travel to Egypt to discover what exactly happened to her parents. Thus, she is introduced to a world of magic, to a world of secrets, to a world of hidden truths. It has a nice little enemies to lovers trope. I think this book was very engaging. It was very atmospheric. I think this is sort of pitched as The Mummy meets Death on the Nile in this lush, immersive historical fantasy filled with adventure, a rivals to lovers romance, and shocking twists and turns. Yes, I very much agree with that. Now moving on to a couple of books that I have yet to read that are part of my spring TBR that I'm very excited to read this spring season. Starting with the first one, I think in one of my previous vlogs, you guys see me pick this up, but this is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is considered a cozy fantasy book. You guys know that I love a good cozy fantasy. In this book, we are following our main protagonist, whose name is Tao. And Tao is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with just her trusty mule for company. I believe Tao only tells little small fortunes, nothing too serious. However, it says here, but a small fortune unexpectedly becomes something more. A semi-reformed thief and an ex-mercenary recruit her into her desperate search for a lost child. Soon, they're joined by a baker with a need for adventure and, of course, a slightly magical cat. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing. You have a fortune teller, you have a baker, and you have some ex-thieves going on some sort of adventure to find a lost child. Yes, count me in. I am excited for that one. The next book here on my spring TBR is The Witches of New York by Amy McKray. I have mentioned this book before also on some of my recent vlogs, and that is because I am very excited about this book. This is set in New York City in the spring of 1880, where seances and a wonder of curiosity are the entertainment choice of exclusive social circles and many enterprising women, some who possess true intuitive powers, some gifted with the art of performance, who find work as mediums. So I believe this is about two friends who own a tea shop called Tea and Symphony, and these friends provide a place for whispered confessions, secret cures, and spiritual assignments for a select society of ladies who speak the right words and ask the right questions. However, when the friends post an ad that they are seeking a shop girl, 17-year-old Beatrice leaves her village to answer that job ad. Beatrice doesn't know it yet, but she has great spiritual gifts, ones that she will come to harness under the guidance of Adeline and Eleanor. But not even they can prepare Beatrice for the evils lurking in the darkest corners of the city or give her the courage it will take to face them. This one sounds so intriguing. I am very excited for that one. Those are some of my spring book recommendations for the spring season, friends. I think there's a good balance of historical fiction on here, graphic novels, middle grade fantasy, romance. I think this is a good little list to get you started for the spring season, especially if you're someone who's a mood reader like me, who often can't stick to one genre and needs a variety to pick from. I feel like these might do you some good. I hope that you enjoyed this video, friends. Let me know down in the comments below if you are going to try any of these cozy spring crafts, or if you are going to read any of these spring books that I mentioned on here, or if you have any recommendations of your own, whether they are some spring cozy crafts or some spring books. Please drop them down in the comments below. Your engagement really goes a long way. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, friends. Remember that you can create the life that you want because you so deserve it. I will be seeing you in another video very, very soon. Take care and bye for now.